Hello, dear friends. We'll be starting with the first poem in your chapter, in your book, Streams, with Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. We all know Shakespeare is the father of English literature. His time, though it is suspicious, we don't know anything clearly about him. His time is noted to be somewhere between 1564 to 1616. So it's almost 4 centuries, almost 400 years that we have been learning Shakespeare, yet he stands as number one in English literature. And one of his best tragedies ever was Romeo and Juliet, which was the birth of love for human beings. All this started with Romeo and Juliet. Let us talk slightly about Romeo and Juliet and learn what this story actually tells us about. Romeo and Juliet were two small children, adolescent children, in fact, of two major rival families from Verona. Verona was a place, was a city in Italy, Rome, and these two families, they were supposed to be the prestigious families of Verona, the Montagues and the Capulets. From the Capulet family, Juliet came out, and Romeo belonged to the Montagues family. They both were not aware that these two were enemy family kids. They did not even see each other. In fact, it was this way the other. Romeo, he was in madly love with Juliet's cousin, Rosaline. Rosaline was Juliet's cousin, and Romeo fell for Rosaline and her beauty. In fact, it could also be called as a crush. It was not actual love at all for him. Romeo wanted to meet Rosaline every now and then, whereas Rosaline was against it. She never wanted Romeo to be behind her any time. It so happened that from the Capulet family, Juliet's father, that is Lord Capulet, he hosts a party. And this party, usually in their custom, it is called as the ball dance. He hosts a ball dance, and people from far and wide were invited to it, except anybody from the Montague family, because they were staunch rivals. Nobody from Capulet family wanted the Montagues to come into that family at all. But Romeo, who understood that there would be a secret ball here, there would be a dance of this kind, he came out to this ball in disguise. In disguise, wearing mask, he comes and he attends the ball, the dance program. His intention was to meet Rosaline, Juliet's cousin. But God and destiny was something else. He did not meet Rosaline. In fact, he fell for the beauty of Juliet. He liked Juliet very much, and at first sight itself, he was madly in love with her. He wanted to know what was Juliet's feeling for her. Her beauty mesmerized him. Juliet also doesn't know that he is Romeo and he is from Montague family. Slightly, slowly, one after the other meeting, they meet, they are fond of each other, they like each other, and they strongly are in love with each other. Of course, as usual, this is an adolescent love, which never could be serious, which never could be taken seriously by the parents and by the family members. Romeo and Juliet, further the story goes on, and they are opposed by the families. Both of them, in their innocence, naivety, they go pray as for their own mistakes that they have done, for all the silly things that they plan, and they give up their life. That's the rest of the story. What we have to learn here in Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet is decisions taken by adolescents can slightly be disastrous. That is what we are going to learn in this poem, Romeo and Juliet. More than the decisions, more than Shakespeare, anything about the true love or the not true love, we have to understand the beauty of language in this poem. Shakespeare, in this poem, enormously beautifully, he explains the beauty of Juliet. And this poem that is prescribed to us in the second POC, it is filled with similes. And all these similes, the decorative language, the beauty of this language can be easily understood. Romeo and Juliet's beauty here in this poem, Juliet's beauty is exemplified, is given with examples with lot and lots of similes. And when it comes to Juliet's verse, we can see lots of personification, wherein the sky is personified, star is personified, night also is personified to a very young and handsome gentleman. That is what has to be understood in Romeo and Juliet. Having learned the introduction about Romeo and Juliet, let us move on to the 10-12 lines that have been given to us to study. These are the verses of madly in love with Juliet, the great hero Romeo. He sees Juliet during the ball dance. He sees her. He's mesmerized by the beauty. He likes her very much. It's almost like how me and you talk about the love at first sight for him. He falls for her and he wants to appreciate her beauty. Till then, Romeo's identity was hidden. He did not want anybody from the Capulet family to know that it is Romeo from the enemy family. But in his madness for love, he openly discloses his feelings, and that will lead to the further problems. That is there in the story. But what is exactly described here is this. Romeo, as soon as he sees Juliet, he says, "Oh, she definitely teaches the torches to burn bright." It is Romeo's verses, imagination, that torches burn brightly only looking at Juliet's beauty. The torches are scared, they are in fact motivated to burn brighter, just like Juliet's beauty. So he says, she is the one who teaches the torches to burn bright. And he also explains that she is like the golden jewel on the cheek of the night. Please understand the personification here. Night is personified as a human being having cheeks, and then she is like that golden earring, and also like the rich jewel in Ethiop's ear. Ethiopian, a dark complexioned African on whom the golden earrings glitter. On the dark background, we have the golden earrings which give added glass, added beauty to these golden earrings. So Juliet's beauty is compared to this rich jewel in the Ethiop's ear. He continues to say that her beauty is too rich to use even to exaggerate, use even to explain, use even to describe. Her beauty is too rich, it is very expensive to be used even to compare with somebody else. Even after his imagination is, even if after the ball he goes back home, he wants to tell somebody how beautiful she was, it is an expensive one. He shouldn't be using her beauty every now and then to explain to others how beautiful she was. So that is what he tries to say when he means it is too rich to use. He doesn't want that beauty to be every now and then used to compare with others. He also further goes on and tells that Juliet is just like that snowy dove. Dove is a pigeon, is a lovebird, a white, beautiful bird which is snowy. That, it's as white as snow. That bird, it is trooping amongst other birds, just like crows. You all can imagine a group of crows, a troop of crows. Amidst that, a beautiful dove bird, a beautiful snowy dove. And Juliet is compared like that. See, Juliet is seen by Romeo getting down the steps with all that neat and beautiful dress. She comes down the steps into the dance, into the ballroom. And then when she is coming down here, he sees and then he feels there are her friends who are surrounding her. And that scene he feels that Juliet is the snowy dove and her friends are similar to crows. He only notices Juliet and her beauty, and therefore these verses come out. She is just like the snowy dove amongst or amidst the crows. He further explains and he says that after all the measure is done, measure here refers to the dance that is done, measure here refers to the comparison and explanation of beauty by him, whatever he is doing. After all this is done, after the measure done, he would go and stand in one place, the place of stand, and then just watch her. Fallen completely for her, he wants to watch. He doesn't want to talk, nothing. If given a chance, he would again come back and try to dance with her. And then he feels that his hands would be blessed. His hands would be blessed even when by chance, by mistake, by chance, his hands touch hers. And he feels that his rough and rude hand, they would be really blessed just by touching her. And that was the mad love for him. So he feels measure done. I'll go quietly stand. I don't want to talk anything. I don't want to lose out the experience that I have got of enjoying seeing her beauty. He just wants to stand, and by chance he gets a chance to dance, his hands would be blessed. And then he questions himself, did my heart ever love? Then he questions about all these things that has happened to him. We all know that he was madly in love with Rosaline. I am writing this in red because this one doesn't come anywhere at all later on. Rosaline was the person for whom Romeo had come. She was the dam, she was the girl for whom he had fallen. But once looking at Juliet, his heart is completely gone into Juliet's beauty. His mind completely forgets Rosaline. So he questions himself, did my heart ever love anybody till now? I think all those feelings that I had initially was just a simple kiddish and a childish love. From now on, probably, I've completely fallen for Juliet, and that is for him, for Romeo, true love. Therefore, he thinks, yes, this is beauty. We have understood that there are so many similes here. We have seen similes like here, torches being asked to burn bright. That is one simile. Simile is something like, comparison. When we compare two things in the English literature, in those languages, it is called a simile. When you compare two things, that is called as a simile. Torches being asked to burn bright because of Juliet's beauty. That is one simile. Cheek of the night, and she is compared to cheek of night, and she is the rich jewel in Ethiopia. Jewel, beauty of Juliet is compared to a jewel. And the other atmosphere is the Ethiop's ear. So again, we have comparison, and Juliet's beauty is compared to the rich jewel. She is also the best simile here is the snowy dove amidst the crows. This is the best example can anyone give for a simile. She is just like her beauty. Juliet herself is just like that beautiful white dove bird amidst the crows. And this is also a simile that we have seen. Hands being blessed is just another word. There is no simile here at all. These three similes are very important. And whenever we have the summary that has to be written, whenever we have the answers that we have to be written regarding Romeo and Juliet, please, dear students, keep in mind, you need to underline these words that you write. You need to use these words from the poem. You need to write down all these things and highlight them. Only when you highlight it like this, right, and then underline this, I feel your answers will be complete. They actually capture the attention of the evaluator, and therefore you are sure to get more marks and better marks. So these are the similes that we can see in Romeo's verses for Juliet. Next we have Juliet's verses for Romeo, which is completely filled with personification. Romeo's description of Juliet's beauty is done. According to the story, the beauty goes on, the description goes on. These two people meet each other for a long time. They meet secretly, and none of us know the actual fact. They even, Romeo and Juliet, they secretly get married with the help of their father, friend, and all those things. They secretly get married, and on the day of marriage, the Juliet is seen here waiting for Romeo. And the verse that she says now is her eagerness, eagerly waiting for Juliet, for Romeo to come. We have understood in the story, it is almost like Romeo coming to Juliet's balcony every night, meeting her secretly, and then going away in the morning. This happens for a long time. But here, the first time when the people are trying to meet after their secret marriage, Juliet is desperate. She wants to see Romeo at any cost. The day of the wedding, the day of their secret marriage, she eagerly waits for him. As I told you, she's desperate for it. Her curiosity, her eagerness, her desperate feeling is shown in this verse. Juliet's verse, she says, "Come, Romeo, come, you are the day in the night." Again, a contrasting word here. The day in the night. It is night time, but still, when you come, you shine brightly and you bring daylight to my life. So she says, "You are the day in my life. The day in night, you come. I'm waiting for you. Just come. You come on the wings of the night." Wings are compared to a black bird. The night is compared to a black bird with large, big wings. And Romeo is imagined to come sitting on this black bird. She says, "Come, you are coming on the wings of the night. You are just like the new snow on the raven's back." The night, when I told you it is compared to a blackbird, it is called as a raven. Raven is a big crow. A crow, the size of the raven is slightly bigger than the normal crow that we see everywhere. So raven's black, you come on that, it is almost like the white snow that can be seen. So when you come here, you just fade away the darkness. You throw away the darkness, and only the brightness of your face, the beauty of your face comes to me, comes to my room. So you are the day in night, and you are the new snow on the raven's back. You come like that beautiful, soothing, cool snow during night time. He also says that night, she also says the night, and she says it is black browed night. Again, as I told you, in Juliet's verses, there are 2 or 3 personifications done. Personification means when a non-living object is compared to a human being and it is given life. Here, night is nothing to do with human beings. It is just an identity. It is just a thing that happens in the nature. But according to poets and their works, the poets, they describe the night or the nature as human beings, giving them some life. And that part is called as personification. Here, night is personified. Night is personified, and then it is actually explained to have black, thick eyebrows. Very handsome, very smart, very good looking human being. So you are like the white snow on the raven's back that night, like the beautiful black browed night. You come there. She tells, "Okay, this is the time when I'm eagerly waiting for you. I wait for you. I love you so much. I'm eager to see you." But she further goes ahead and says, "What will happen when I die? When I die," I don't know why suddenly Juliet gets the thought of death. She says, "No, in case I die, I don't want my Romeo to suffer with the same feelings that he has to be left alone." So she only prays. She prays that once she dies, after her death, Romeo also should be cut into small, tiny stars. She wants to distribute the beauty of Romeo to the whole world. She wants the whole world to appreciate his handsome features. She doesn't want, she's not selfish to just experience all the love, all the beauty by herself. She wants to distribute. So she says, once I am dead and gone, once I am dead, let him be cut into small stars, and all these stars should be thrown away into the sky. And this sky is again personified as the face of the heaven. The sky is the face of the heaven. There, Romeo has to be there. All those tiny stars that have to be thrown into the face of heaven, the personified part of the sky, there, everybody has to see Romeo and appreciate it. They'll be eagerly waiting for the stars to come out. That is during night time. They want the stars to come so that they all can see Romeo in those small, tiny, little shining and twinkling stars. She further says, when everywhere my Romeo is seen, appreciated, and loved by the people as tiny little stars, she also is very sure that the people, the whole world, will forget to worship the garish sun. Actually, we worship sun, as we considered him as one of the greatest energy giving factor, energy giving source, and we worship sun as God. When the whole earth right now, which is worshipping sun god, now after Romeo is cut into stars, everybody will forget worshipping this garish sun. Garish here means very harsh, cruel, and burning. The sun burns everybody. The sun gives lot of heat, and sun brings in pain, heat, sweat, and all those things. People don't want sun at all. They want the night to come every day. They want Romeo in the form of stars. They will be madly in love. So this is Juliet's expression. She says, when I'm dead and gone, all these things, Romeo and his beauty has to be distributed to the world. So in this verse, Juliet's verse of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, we have understood that she wants Romeo to come back as night, as day in night, as the bright feature in her night. And then again she goes on to even to the verge of killing herself and killing Romeo, and also distributing his beauty as stars. Again here, when we come to the answer writing part, there are many important factors. Let us not be confused. Let us not think that Juliet is a sadist. She is not a sadist. She doesn't want to kill Romeo, but her only thought is, her only prayer is, her love has to be appreciated by everybody. She wants the whole world to understand how beautiful her Romeo is, and let the world not misunderstand Juliet's love for Romeo. Let them not feel that Juliet is a fool. As I told you, when you write the answers, you will have to again concentrate on all these things that have been underlined, that have been marked again. So this is Juliet's verse in Romeo and Juliet.